Welcome in, everyone, to Fantasy Pros. I am your host, Dr. Evil. Joe Pisapia no longer with us. He was insolent, so I put him in a burlap bag and I beat him with reads. Pretty standard, really. So today we're going to talk about the waiver wire, the players you want to pick up, and the players you want to move on from. Perhaps you're adding, you're dropping, you're spending money, perhaps $1 million. I don't know. We'll find out later. Joining me are some like-minded men in terms of hairstyle. I've got the Hulk, formerly known as Derek Brown. D-Bro, it's nice to see you. I see you're completely hulked out. That's good, right? I like it.
Joe, nobody in my leagues will be happy. They don't want to see me angry. Don't outbid me on FAAB.
No, and I don't know who this Joe character is, but he sounds very handsome and smart. Also with me is Mini-Me, Bob Harris. You might know him from Football Diehards, Sirius XM Radio. He's super famous. Bob, welcome to the program.
I mean, you stepped on my intro. I was going to allow myself to introduce myself, but instead, I let you do it. And you did a fine job. Good morning, everybody. It's an odd weekend. The road is fraught with peril because the trade deadline's here, right? I mean, a lot of speculative plays. A lot of things are going to change in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Yes, lots of moving parts. And of course, we're always going to help you out with the moving parts. We like to take things, we put them in different places, and then we move on. So today, of course, as always, like that moron Pisapia likes to do, he likes to talk about his favorite guy. And usually it's somebody that everybody already has. So I'm going to give you a really good player instead. How about a quarterback? How about Justin Fields? Okay, he is going to be the sleeper waiver wire ad of the week. And yes, we're going to add him. Why? Well, how about the fact that he's got about, 70 yards rushing or so, like in every game for the last 3 weeks? How about the fact he's a QB1? Can we talk about that a little bit? Maybe just a little. We'll talk about that. But he's only rostered in 41% of leagues, and I don't care if it's a single quarterback. Obviously, in the Superflex, you've got him already, so you don't need to hear about that. You can keep that opinion to yourself, okay? Really, people. But also, Justin Fields, it's time to drop Aaron Rodgers. It's time to drop Trevor Lawrence, all of those other quarterbacks that you thought would be good. Turns out Justin Fields is that guy. So, Hulk, tell me your thoughts on Justin Fields' rest of season as a quarterback one, because it feels like he already is.
Justin Fields has been amazing. He's the truth. He's going to be a top 10 quarterback probably the rest of the way, and a lot of this goes with his rushing, but we've seen the passing uptick as well, Dr. Evil. So I'm encouraged. I mean, I've rostered Justin Fields everywhere, and I expect everybody else to do the same.
Robert Harris, your thoughts on Justin Fields? 19 points, 24-26, top 5 last 2 weeks. That's pretty good, right? Even in pretty standard leagues, that's good.
Well, Dr. Evil, I think you've made a fair point here, and it's like the first time you've ever made a fair point on anything, I believe. Your fairness is not
That's
your thing.
Fair.
But there I go. But yes, the change in Chicago from a high school offense to something better resembling a NFL, a professional type offense has served Justin Fields well. The RPOs are working for him and the Bears in general, and the running backs are, helping him out as well. We'll see if the receiving core can step up, but until he quits running, that doesn't really matter that much to me. I'm with you, Dr. Evil. It's all about Justin Fields.
All of the rushing, I want all of the points and all the yards, okay? It's the extra yards that I'm looking for. All right, let's get to some of the other guys you want to add. The running back position, those guys like to run for yards too. So we'll start with you, Derek Brown. Hulk. So who are you spending your green on this week as your top RB ad for week 9?
Well, the guy that I want to be stashing everywhere is James Cook. He is only rostered in 32% of sleeper leagues. And it's not going to take much to get James Cook. 3 to 5%, not even probably that much of your FAAB. And the reason I want to stay ahead of the curve here, Dr. Evil, is that we've seen coming out of the bye, James Cook, it was the clear number 2 running back in this backfield. He played 25% of snaps, which is his highest mark since week 2. 5 carries, 6 routes. I mean, look, we can't say that he's not going to sit here and have the role or eat more into this backfield from Devin Singletary. Much less, the upside is for him to take it over. I'm not there yet, but we're one injury away from having a running back in the best offense in football, and I want to stay ahead of the curve with these running backs and these ads.
Okay, Bob Harris, I've got a lot of RBs on the IR, so throw me a freaking bone here. Give me somebody that I can pick up at the RB position I can play right away. I'd like that.
Right, we're heading into Buymageddon, too. Buymageddon 1 of 2 this year. There were 6 teams on bye this week, so there will be a little desperation for everybody involved. So I don't know if everybody is on board with this, because this might not be the immediate help you're after because it is a bye. But I am going to go ahead and invest in Latavius Murray and hope the Broncos don't do anything to fix their running back situation via trade until next week, when I can use him greatly. And I will spend up to 20% of my FAAB to get a guy who's half of the rotation right now.
Yes, an excellent choice, and could even be cheaper, right? Would you have to spend as much money as you think on Latavius Murray this week because he is on a bye?
Possibly,
or would you still be aggressive, Bob? You're an aggressive fellow.
I'm an aggressive fellow. I don't want to miss out, so I would probably be aggressive. But you're right. Since he's heading into bye, you could probably get off a little cheaper. But like, if he's going to remain half of this backfield, he gets a lot of high leverage looks at the goal line, and okay, it's Denver. It's like a low bar. They are scoring a lot of points, but still, anybody who's getting close to 40% of the workload there is going to be fine with me.
Right, okay, so 45% rostered for Latavius Murray. James Cook, only 32% rostered on the Sleeper app. That's where we like to play our football. The fantasy is more fun on the Sleepers, so go check it out. Let's get another running back. Derek Brown, your number 2 guy. Who might that be?
It's going to be Isiah Pacheco. And the theme for me at running back this week is to stay ahead of the curve. And I want these high-end handcuffs. And a lot of these guys are available in a ton of leagues. He's only rostered 46% of sleeper leagues. I mean, again, we're talking about if he's still out there at this point, 3%, maybe 5%, and you get him. And for a running back that, I mean, look, week 8, and the trend that I'm following here is a lot of these guys coming out of their buys. Could we see upticks in usage? Kansas City just had their bye. So what are we going to see from Isiah Pacheco this week, considering in week 8, he played a season high 30% of snaps. He's top 30 in yards after contact per attempt and breakaway run rate. If we see a change in the guard in Kansas City and this backfield moves further in Pacheco's direction, I want to be ahead of that.
I like that name too, Pacheco. It's a fun name to say. I like it. It's very good. And he's only rostered in 46% of leagues. Bob Harris, could you give me your number 2?
I see what you did there. I'm diving into the more speculative plays going forward. Kyren Williams of the Rams. We all have a lot of faith in Jordan Rodriguez from The Athletic, or I do anyway. Talked about the role going into the summer where maybe it was going to be a lot more robust than we anticipated before he hurt his ankle. In hindsight, it sounds a little bit like what we were seeing with the Brian Robinson chatter before his unfortunate shooting, right? Where he was, hey, he's moving in, right? This has a similar vibe. Obviously, Cam Akers' future totally in doubt. The Rams are saying right now, well, if we don't trade him, we'll go ahead and keep him. Come on, people. They're just still trying to trade him. They don't want anyone to think he's just going away or going to get released or be available. But this is clearly going the wrong direction. And Kyren Williams seems like a good speculative play. I think he's owned at 10% ownership on Sleeper right now. And I would pay up to 10% to get him and hope that this is something pans out. Look, we all know if you've been playing this for 100 years like I have, every damn year a running back nobody drafted is going to win you a title. And so you start looking for those potential league winners, guys with roles. Of course, better when they have offensive lines, but you take what you can get.
It's a good point. I can't argue with it. He is rostered in just 29% of leagues, so that's pretty good. Question for you, Bob Harris. Has Sean McVay eaten too much chunky soup, you think? Things not going in right direction?
He still looks quite fine to me, but there's definitely some things going on there. Maybe the linemen have had too much chunky soup because their chunky bodies are not moving in a great way.
No body shaming here, Bob Harris. Let's not get into that, okay? I know I've put on a few pounds here. Gonna try to take it off there. I'm gonna get on the life cycle. Sometimes I do the Peloton. It's fun, They yell at you and they say things like, "Come on, go faster." So then I do. It's good. It's very motivating. What else is motivating you this week in Week 9, Derek Brown? When you're looking at the RB situation, who do you want to add? Who's a good pickup? Who are you trying to pick up?
I feel like Jimmy Fallon right now. I can't keep the bit. All right. Rachaad White, 3 or 5%.
Yes, you're exactly like Jimmy Fallon without the money or the prestige or the good looks or any of those things. Exactly like
the hair. Time to get angry, Hulk.
Yeah.
I want to poke the beast. That's what I'm trying to do. I want to poke him, see if I can get him to go full Hulk on somebody. We'll see as the show goes on what happens, perhaps.
Well, if you're going to spend about 5%, then I might get angry about that on Rachaad White. He's only rostered in 47% of sleeper leagues. And looking at Rachaad White, Again, he has not been good on early downs, but what do we care about? We care about running backs that catch passes, and he is still in an offense I think is going to turn around. So Rachaad White, amongst all running backs with 15 or more targets, he's 10th in yards per route run. He is fifth in running back targets. So right now, since he's taken over this secondary role in Tampa Bay, I think Rachaad White is a fine pickup. And again, staying with the theme here, I want to stay ahead of the trend for running backs.
Bob Harris, you've got a trend. You're looking ahead. I kind of like that. I like where your head's at. It's also shiny and bald like mine, so I'm a fan. But looking ahead, you've got another running back that you're trying to project the future for. So who is it? Who's your number 3 guy on the big board today, Bob?
It'll be Dearness Johnson, who's owned, I believe, I'm surprised he's owned in 15% of sleeper leagues. But nonetheless, I think that's, this is a fair speculative play as well. Seems like Kareem Hunt. Look, I'll come up with a 4th round pick if that's all they're asking for Kareem Hunt. I mean, come on, he's going somewhere soon enough, and maybe we'll find out in the Monday night game if he gets no playing time at all that the move is imminent. But either way, assuming he's going to be gone, I'm willing to spend, throw 5% of my roster, 5% of my FAAB at a speculative play like that.
Now, as you both know, my father did invent the question mark, so I'm going to ask another follow-up question here because I like them. Plus, every time I mention questions, he gets a royalty because he invented the question mark. So is there any other RBs you guys want to add? Derek Brown, somebody else kicking around for you maybe, perhaps? It'd be useful, short-term, long-term, I don't know.
If he's out there on the waiver wire still, you got to be smashing. See what I did there? The button on Kenyan Drake. 39% rostered on Sleeper. I mean, we don't know what's up with Gus Edwards. Now dealing with a hamstring injury, so he probably doesn't play this week. So you're looking at a 2-way backfield versus Kenyan Drake and Justice Hill. So I was actually surprised he wasn't above 50%.
Yeah, I think Hill is,
Bobby?
Hill's in the same boat. I think either of those would be fine for me as well. If you want to do the deep dive and speculative plays for, like, I'm sure, dollar bid Ronnie Rivers, if you're just, kind of taking your chances. Again, it's the Rams. They don't run the football well. I'm not that enthusiastic, but I kind of felt the same about the Panthers. And turns out they can run the ball reasonably well if they really want to. So those are speculative plays. So I think I think at the end, if you're looking for people who can produce down the stretch, for sure, for me, Murray's at the top of the heap until they trade for somebody in the next 24 hours.
Do you have any evil running backs you want to add?
No evil running backs. No.
Any
I
running
had
backs
one running back with a laser on his head, but
oh, that's what I was looking for. I was waiting for someone to give me a running back with a freaking laser on its freaking head. Okay. But nobody did, so we'll just move on to wide receiver instead. Okay, so let's look at the wide receivers. We're going to give you 4 names each you want to pick up in week 9. So let's start with you this time, Bob. Who's a wide receiver you'd like to make an addition to your roster with?
I think we're all chasing the same. Well, a lot of us will be chasing the same bunch of guys. Devin Duvernay, I'll put at the top of my list right now. Baltimore. Don't know what Rashad Bateman's foot is going to do, but it seems like it's not heading in a good direction at the moment. Even if it's not serious, it seems like it's going to be a lingering issue. Mark Andrews' injury kind of adds to this a little bit. And so I'm going to go ahead and go Devin Duvernay, and I'd be willing to spend, 5% of my FAAB budget to land him. Look, the snap shares and the targets have been reasonably good. If he's going to be the top of that wide receiver end, even if Mark Andrews comes back, there's it's one receiver, then catch cam. Beyond that, if he's the catch, I'll do that.
Rashad Bateman always hurt. What's the big deal going on there? What are we getting to a point with Rashad Bateman where even in keeper leagues we're just cutting bait, where we're just not happy about him? What are your thoughts there? Because it's very frustrating. I got to tell you, Bob, I'm very frustrated with Rashad Bateman. I think other people are as well. Are you getting that same feeling in your gut?
I am getting that same feeling in my gut and also on my stat sheets and in my leagues results. I feel the same thing where I have invested in him. You know me, Joe. Oh, Joe. I broke kayfabe there. I apologize.
Yes, but you got extra points for making a wrestling term here on the show. So whatever you lost, you gained back. So it's kind of even again. So you're in good shape.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Evil.
Don't push it, Harris. Don't push it.
I'm injury agnostic, but that only counts for players before they're hurt. Once they're hurt, I can just dive off.
So they're dead to you then?
Yeah,
yes, right.
Not dead to me, but I'm looking for a little more certainty and a little more clear path to workload, and guys who are obviously nicked up don't have that. It's just like if you have 2 players you're deciding in a lineup that are fairly close to one, and one is like, oh, he's not healthy, and he is. It's not a hard decision, right? So I'm kind of a little disappointed in Bateman, and I won't worry with the foot if he will ever get to full speed again this season.
Okay, let's go to you, Derek Brown, a.k.a. the Hulk. You got a wide receiver that you'd like to add to the old waiver wire roster this week?
I can't believe that Rondale Moore is still out there in 51% of leagues.
It's quite shocking, really, when you think about it. You'd think it'd be higher, you know?
It should be. And he's even lower on different platforms and stuff. So if he's out there, pick him up. I'd be going 10% on him for FAAB because we've seen Rondale Moore. 3 of the last 4 games, he's had at least an 18% target share. In week 8, again, a very Greg Dortch-esque stat line. 8 targets, 7 grabs, 92 receiving yards, and he got in the end zone. Only him and DeAndre Hopkins are full-time wide receivers for the Cardinals, so if he's out there, he's a must-add.
That's right. All your Rondales, all your Wandales, make sure they're all on your roster as much as possible. Is Wandale just Rondale with a speech impediment? That's my question.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's with Dr. Evil.
Okay, I just wanted to check.
And again, I'm calling you fair just to see if I can't rile you up.
Well, you can try. Good luck with that, pal. Okay, let's go to the next one here. Back to you, Bob Harris. You also have feelings for Rondale Moore. You want to talk about your feelings for a guy who's 51% rostered on the Sleeper app?
Yes, generally speaking, I'm not a Rondale Moore person. I feel like they keep buying Cliff Kingsbury's these nice little gadgets for him to play with, and so Andy Isabella Jr. is not impressing me. But the role is impressing me right now, just through attrition until Marquise Brown is back, and we don't know how long that'll be. I think he's certainly a viable play.
Okay, back to you then. Let's go back to you, Hulk. Give me another wide receiver that looks good to you for the FAAB this week on the waiver wire.
I'm not a fan of him, but look, he's got a great matchup this week. Take you 1 to 3% of your FAAB. Get Marquez Valdes-Scantling on your team. He's only rostered in 50% of sleeper leagues. And the upcoming matchups are pretty good. He's got Tennessee, Jacksonville, and the Chargers. And look, we're actually seeing him assimilate into this offense more. He's surpassed 63 receiving yards, 1.9 yards per route run in 3 of his last 4 games. In week 7, his ADOT was above 25 yards. So if he's going back into this field stretching role that we've seen him at least operate in Green Bay with success and spike weeks, you have a Tennessee defense that I know they just got over on Davis Mills, but it's Davis Mills. They're 32nd in DVOA versus deep passing. Could see another 100-yard outing from Marquez Valdes-Scantling.
D-Bro's on fire right now. All right, so go on to you, Bob Harris, who's another wide receiver. Looks good for you.
I'll take a shot on Parris Campbell right now. Not a big shot, maybe 5% of my FAAB budget. He's rostered, I think, at 51% rostered right now. And I think I'm surprised that the number was that high. But Parris Campbell is becoming a significant piece. We'll see what Sam Ehlinger does to him. But, the previous 2 weeks, he's been on the field at least 90% of the snaps the last 3 weeks. So I'm looking forward to seeing what if he can keep getting those high leverage looks, even with Sam Ehlinger. I'll take a shot on him with 5% of my FAAB.
Okay, only spending 5%. He's 49% rostered. What'd you think of Big Sammy E this weekend when you saw him play a little bit more mobile, running around a little bit more, doing some things that Matt Ryan couldn't do? What do you think? He's got the Patriots this week. You think he can go in and maybe put a similar game together like Justin Fields did a few weeks ago, like he did against on Monday Night Football?
Well, he does have that rushing ability. You kind of got to like that. I'd like to see him throw more than 23 passes. Let's go there, and let's use that as a starting point, and maybe they'll ramp him up a little bit.
That's fair. I like that. I like where your head's at, Harris.
Cute.
Smart fellow. Okay, let's go to the next one here. D-Bro, my homie, my Hulk, my everything. Go ahead. Give me another wide receiver you'd like to pluck off the waiver wire and onto your rosters.
He might seem like he's a puny god, but he's an actually good fantasy ad. Joshua Palmer. He's 3% of your FAAB. He's only rostered in 35% of sleeper leagues. He gets Atlanta, San Francisco, Kansas City. We know Mike Williams is banged up, so is Keenan Allen. He's still probably not 100%. With Palmer, a lot of these defenses he has coming up, especially Atlanta and San Francisco, are zone-based defenses. I think Palmer can get a lot of looks versus these defenses. 58% of his target volume this year has been against zone coverage.
Very good. I have a question for you. Worried about the injury? Because he was hurt going into the bye last week. So is it quasi-injury? Is it real injury? Like, how do you feel about the injury with Joshua Palmer? You think he'll be healthy enough to go ahead and add? And is that going to affect how much you spend or other people spend on him?
I mean, I think it's probably the reason why he's still out there, plus with the bye week and stuff. But I mean, unless I'm forgetting something in all my anger, It's just a concussion. So, I mean, I say just, but it was a concussion. So he should be recovered and back on the field this week.
Let's keep the monster in the box, okay? All right, let's keep the monster contained just for a little bit longer. Jeez Louise. All right, Bob Harris, give me another wide receiver you'd like to add for week 9 in the NFL.
Carolina, we might have a quarterback. It probably happened on accident. PJ Walker, I don't know if it's a total mirage or not, but it seems like he's at least willing to chuck the ball down the field. And so Terrace Marshall, now in the post-Robbie Anderson era, snap counts are going up, targets are going up. I'm hoping for a little more, but this is obviously just, a dart toss kind of play as we head in. Did I mention there are 2 Buy-Mageddons this year? You might have issues at some point.
Definitely some issues going on. I don't trust any grown man with initials in his first name, like PJ. I mean, what are we, 12? What's going on here? But at the same time, it was a heck of a throw on the run. He's making DJ more relevant. I got a question for you, Bob Harris. Is it safe to go and start DJ Moore now, rest of season? You feel good about it? How do you feel?
It is, and I am, and I will. You can't stop me, Dr. Evil.
Well, I could stop you if I wanted to. I just don't feel like it right now. Okay, let's go to the next one here. D-Bro, a.k.a. Hulk. Let's go to another one. Give me one more wide receiver, just one that you'd like to add.
Darius Slayton. And I'm an OG Darius Slayton truther. 1% of your FAAB, you probably can get him for a 0 bid. He's only rostered in 13% of leagues. With the bye week coming up, after that, he gets Houston and the Detroit Lions. Since week 5, he has 3 games with at least 6 targets, 50 receiving yards, and he has crested 2.00 yards per route run in those games. Week 9, 73% of snaps. He saw almost a 20% target share. So he's going to be a strong flex coming out of the bye.
Moving on to the quarterback position, lots of buys, lots of issues, lots of problems. We're going to try to break it all down for you here on the Fantasy Pros. So we might as well talk about that. And don't forget, too, you need more help, of course. There's always the waiver-wire assistant. I have lots of assistants. Most of them are evil, but some of them are very good as well. And the Fantasy Pros has the My Playbook. Okay, it's very evil. I like it quite a bit. You can go out there and you can go and download it. It's on an app on the phones. Everyone's got their phones now. It's very easy. You just put it on the phone, you say My Playbook, and it goes to your phone. And the next thing you know, it's on there and it's helping you win money. It's helping you win fantasy leagues. It's really quite breathtaking. You should try it. Go to fantasypros.com/offers too. You get 6 free months for that bad boy. 6 free months for the Fantasy Pros premium product that lets you get the waiver assistant, the trade analyzer, all the fun tools. So speaking of tools, back to you, D-Bro. Give me a quarterback that you think is worthy this week in week 9.
And you wonder why I'm always angry.
Zip it. Go ahead. No, do it. Zip it.
Has to be. Has to be
no,
Taylor Heinicke.
I apologize. We have to do the podcast. Go ahead. Talk about the quarterback.
Taylor Heinicke.
Zippy long stocking. No, nothing.
All right. Gonna eventually get this out.
Moving on. Go ahead.
Taylor Heinicke. 1% bid. 13%
now I really wish you did zip
Sleeper.
it because you said Taylor Heinicke. You want to add Taylor Heinicke, really? Yeah? You think that's a good idea? Yeah?
I do.
You like that? I do. Okay.
The Vikings are giving up the 13th most fantasy points to quarterbacks. They're 32nd in explosive pass rate. It's a good ad. It's a good ad.
Yes. Right. Okay. So 13% rostered, 1%. You're just throwing a buck on them. That's all you're doing. Say, here, Taylor Heinicke, here's $1. Come over to my house and play. That's what you're doing.
That's
basically.
pretty much it. Yep.
Okay. Terrific. Bob Harris, do you have a quarterback a little bit more worthy, perhaps, than Taylor Heinicke you'd like to add to your roster? I already gave everyone Justin Fields, but probably he's rostered in a lot of leagues. Although I found it disturbing that he's still available in almost 60. It seems kind of ridiculous at this point with what he's doing, right? Okay.
I'm going to sword fight you, sir.
You can, but you'll lose because I have lots of minions and lots of very evil people around me at all times. So you can, buddy. Maybe I'll make you. Yeah, I'm your Faja. Yeah, perhaps. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, your daddy. Is that what you want me to be? Your Faja? Yeah?
We've done this in person, sir. You know better.
Just because you've got a magnificent bald head does not put you above me. Remember that, Bob Harris, okay? Well, now you're taller than me on the YouTube channel, but now sit yourself back down. Okay, let's get to the next one here. Bob Harris, who do you have next?
So, I don't follow instructions well. So I'm going to go with 2 because I want an immediate fill-in. If you're having issues this week, it's going to be Jared Goff. I think he's look, we know the range of outcomes here. It can be horribly crappy or it can be relatively amazing. And it's been relatively amazing more than it's been crappy, right? They had 2 single-digit games. But other than that, he's been right in the thick or in the top 10 or thick of the top 10 in production. And I think with that defense, he's going to be playing catch-up every damn week. So happy to do that. He's rostered 51% of leagues, will probably be available to you. But if I'm taking a longer-term view of this and I don't need somebody immediately this week, I'm going to go ahead and grab Jimmy Garoppolo. Something Kyle Shanahan said strikes home as we've seen this offense. Christian McCaffrey is a force multiplier. And one of the forces he is multiplying is going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. Just this offense is the rising tide lifts all boats. And so I think Garoppolo will be a fine play going forward, especially with Debo coming back. So I would be rostering him.
That's my boy. I like Jimmy Garoppolo. I've been talking about him all week. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but the numbers speak for themselves. He keeps finishing as a QB1. I mean, throw me a freaking bone here. What are we supposed to do? Of course, we're going to start this guy, Christian McCaffrey. How much does he elevate the value of Jimmy Garoppolo rest of season? You're looking at Tom Brady or Jimmy Garoppolo rest of season. I know we can't believe we're talking about it, but here we are, Bob. We're talking about it. So your thoughts?
I don't need to play Tom Brady until Tom Brady makes me play him. In the meantime, I'm quite happy playing someone who is, and it's Jimmy Garoppolo. I think this is a fair plan. I think he's rostered in just under 50. I want to say 49%, is it, of leagues right now? I think this is a great ad. You can probably get him relatively cheap, especially going into bye week.
I like that. No patience. He's done. He's over it. You go, Bob. You go, girl. Very good. Okay, let's go to the next one here. Tight end position. Bob Harris, why don't you kick things off? Because you did so good. So proud of you at the quarterback position. Give me a tight end you want to stream in week 9.
So, I mean, I've been really, torn between players. And so since we're looking for immediate production here, I'm going to go. I like Greg Dulcich. I think for a longer term play, I'd be happy to get him. Again, the problem is it's a lousy offense. Maybe it gets better at some point, but he's kind of been a leading piece of it since his return from IR. But in the meantime, I'll go ahead and get Evan Engram. All the underlying numbers have pointed to a breakout coming. Maybe he's one Trevor Lawrence pull his head out moment from having a great game here for us. But I thought last week was, this Sunday in London was good enough. But the target shares, the route participation, all those numbers have been really high. And so I think that's a fair play, and you can probably get them dirt cheap.
Derek Brown, you're the snake to my mongoose. Could you give me a tight end, please, that you would like to acquire in week 9 in the NFL?
I'm always angry, but I can't stay angry at you, Doctor. All right, Hunter Henry.
I'm very charming. That's the thing. Even when I was in evil medical school, they always said most charming in the yearbook. It was right there, right under my face. It's really nice.
Hunter Henry. 1 or 3% of your FAAB. It's not going to take much. He's only rostered in 39% of sleeper leagues. And with Henry, it's matchup based. I know the Patriots offense is not sexy, but they get the Colts in week 9, who are 25th in DVOA against the tight end position. They're top 10 in catch rate allowed, yards per reception, and fantasy points per game. So Hunter Henry might fall inside the top 10 to 12 tight ends this week.
Yes, I'd like to see tight ends of that caliber. Very good. So we continue to move on to the show with the waiver wire ads, and I feel very grateful Bob Harris chose to be here on Halloween today. He had choices. He thought he was coming onto a serious program, but instead he chose Halloween. So careful what you wish for, Bob. Okay, this is what happens sometimes when you pick the schedule. This is what you end up with. And of course, what we end up with sometimes one buys is defenses that aren't playing anymore. So Derek Brown, Bob Harris, I task you both to find me defenses to play. Bob Harris, you're batting 1,000 this week. You're doing a heck of a job. Very proud of you. So keep it going. Give me the defense that you potentially want to add in week 9. You think you might be able to get away with? Be sneaky.
Mostly I like to pick on quarterbacks, right? So, I'm checking the schedule, seeing if there's something out there that kind of fits the bill for this. And honestly, I might go. I don't like anybody.
Somebody
really
check on Bob Harris. I think he needs a reboot.
I'll go ahead and play the Lions this week. Turns out Aaron Rodgers isn't playing that great, right? I mean, the Lions are playing horrible, but hopefully they can get something done. When it comes to streaming defenses, I'm not a huge advocate of this. I pick Dallas and I stick with it all the time. So.
That's a good pick if you did. But the Detroit Lions, aren't you worried about the totals? I mean, they've been just wretched. They've been wretched.
I'm just looking for turnovers and ability to make. I'm looking for chances to make plays, and maybe they can make some, catch lightning in a bottle. They're bound to have a win at some point.
Fair enough. Lightning in a bottle it is. Derek Brown, do you have a defense that you'd like to share with everyone this week?
The Washington Commanders, 1% of your FAAB. You probably can get them for 0 because a lot of people don't like them, and I get it. I get why. But the secondary is playing better in the last few weeks. They're only 6% rostered on Sleeper, and they get the Vikings. I'm in on the Commanders, and I'm in on Taylor Heinicke. Oof, that could be rough. But
yes, your judgment is in question this week, but perhaps it will be deemed correctly. We shall see as the week plays on. Now, for some people who still play in leagues without FAAB, they have waivers that they just run, where they just list guys and the bad teams get the good players and all this stuff. No FAAB. I mean, really, we're still playing in leagues without FAAB. No FAAB. But seriously, so there's still these leagues, so we have to rank these guys 1 through 5. Derek Brown, give me your favorite 5, your top guys you would add without the FAAB this week in week 9.
Rondo Moore is the number 1 guy, then James Cook, Isiah Pacheco, Rachaad White, and then Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I can't
Easy
even
now, big guy.
Old panhands himself.
Keep it real, son, okay? Just keep the beast inside the cage. We talked about this. You need a snack or something? Getting a little peckish? Yeah, a little hungry? Maybe a Monster energy drink?
Snickers?
Is that what you like?
Yeah.
You like the Monster?
What about candy corn?
Oh, candy corn. Yeah, it's a good call. You like the candy corn in the Halloween. He's a big fan of the candy corn, this fellow.
One of the few.
Right. Okay,
I
so
think
let's get to you.
That's first.
Bob Harris, give me your top
The
5
only
most
person
evil
who likes
picks
candy
for
corn.
week 9 that you'd like to add for the waiver wire, please.
Candy corn, candy corn, candy corn, candy corn, and candy corn.
That's pretty evil.
It's as evil as I can get. Beyond that, if I'm going with players, Latavius Murray, Kyren Williams, I'll go Devin Duvernay, Rondale Moore, and Parris Campbell.
Very well. So there you go. Those are the names you want to add in those leagues that don't use FAAB. Don't make me laugh at you again, everyone. It's time to get real, start moving into the 2000s, perhaps, with your fantasy leagues. So let's play a little game because I enjoy games, and whoever's incident will drop from rosters, and whoever has value, perhaps $1 million worth, we will keep on our rosters. Gentlemen, you will decide. Marquise Goodwin, so DK Metcalf, not hurt after all. Didn't see that coming. Who would have known? So 31% rostered Bob Harris, Marquise Goodwin. He's very fast, but are you dropping him fast to the waiver wire this week?
I'm probably going to hang on to him. There was enough targets there, and Geno Smith is playing good enough that I might need him. Did we mention at all the Buy-Mageddon's coming?
I think once or twice.
Okay.
Not really sure. I think it might have mentioned it. Okay. We'll have to watch the tape back. Or maybe you can just order the transcript of the show. I know a lot of people just like the transcripts. You go to FantasyPros.com. You can order the transcript and just read the show. It's fascinating. Big thing. Oprah used to do it. That's why I started doing it. Derek Brown, same thing. Marquise Goodwin, is he good enough, or do you want to drop him?
He's a puny god. Needs to go back to the waiver wire.
Okay, very good. So next guy on the list here is Chuba Hubbard. I just like saying the name Chuba. It's a fun name to say. So Chuba Hubbard, 56% rostered on the Sleeper app. Do you want to keep him? You want to drop him? What are you doing with him?
I'm holding him. Even with the injury, I think that if Foreman goes out, he's going to be the guy.
Okay, so you're still keeping him around. Bob Harris, it seems like we can't get enough RBs, but let's say you're in a bad Buy-Mageddon, as you like to call it, and as Buy-Mageddon shows up very soon here, I mean, there's 2 of Buy-Mageddons, you really can't have enough, but if you're in a
9 and 14,
here,
2 of
would
them.
you drop Chuba Hubbard to pick up another one of these fellows that you liked before that you might be able to start this week? I don't know, like a Kyren Williams or something? I don't know.
No, I'll keep him.
Still holding to the Chuba.
Still hold him. There's Buy-Mageddon's coming, Joe. You didn't know this.
Right. Okay, with the Buy, what do you have, like a freaking sponsorship deal with the Buy-Mageddon? Is that what's going on here?
do.
You get a royalty?
I do.
Well, it's good for you. I like the licensing deals. They're good time. Also, let's go to Alec Pierce, wide receiver, Indianapolis Colts, 55% roster, different QB, different style, different things going on. Bob Harris, do you want to keep Alec Pierce around? Do you want to drop him?
I'll keep Alec Pierce around. I don't like to let go of things once I have them.
That's fair. You and I have been friends
life.
for a decade, so that
Exactly.
certainly shows you right there. You should have gotten rid of me a long time ago. Bad decision-making process.
When I was in the same room with you, I should have done it.
Yes.
But there was a lot of swords there then.
You missed out your opportunity, and now it just passed. So let's get to you, Derek Brown, Mr. Hulk. You want to keep Alec Pierce? You want to drop him to the waiver wire like a bad habit?
I can't possibly drop him. Got to keep him.
Okay.
Downfield role. Now with a quarterback that actually can throw downfield, keep Alec Pierce.
There's a red rifle in town. His name is Andy Dalton, and Jameis Winston is just a second banana. How about you there, Mr. New Orleans Saints? You want to keep or drop 25% roster Jameis Winston? Is he worth having on the roster at all?
Drop immediately.
You going to drop him into Superflex leagues, Bob Harris? Are you done here, or are you just keeping him for insurance? I know you like to keep everything. You're like a hoarder when it comes to the fantasy football. So you're going to keep Winston too? Is he like the dead cat underneath the refrigerator kind of thing for you? Is that
in
what you want?
In the Scott Fishbowl, he will remain my dead cat, because we all know the red rifle sometimes is the redheaded stepchild and must be replaced.
Ooh, sassy. Bob Harris dropping dimes. Okay, how about another guy? Elijah Moore says, I wouldn't know how good Zach Wilson is because he's never thrown me a freaking ball. So 49% rostered Bob Harris. Elijah Moore, you going to keep or are you going to drop?
I could probably drop him.
Okay, fair enough. How about you, D-Bro? What's up, bro? What's up, homie? You going to drop him? You going to drop Elijah Moore? You hope maybe he gets traded to another team this week?
So many Jets. No, got to drop him.
Yeah, so many Jets and none of them useful. Only Breece Hall, but he's gone. It's over, okay? We told you it was going to be over. Michael Carter, James Robinson, not Breece Hall. Jets offensive line, not that great. Told you it was just Breece Hall being Breece Hall. And now Breece Hall can't Breece Hall because Breece Hall is no longer Breece Hall. It's a sad story, really. But let's move on to the last thing where we take your questions. Somehow people like to think that you, the listeners, the watchers of the show are important. I don't know where they got this notion from, but it's part of the show, so I'm going to have to do it. So we're going to go to our Discord, which is free. Again, we give it away. We're just giving things here at Fantasy Pros. So you can go to fantasypros.com/chat. You can go talk to your friends about the fantasy football, which is free. Did I mention it's free? Also, Buy-Mageddon is coming. So if you want to also go to fantasypros.com/offers, you can get 6 free months of the premium product. And then you can go getting cool things like the stages and the AMAs and all that stuff, the touchdown call contests. You could go win some free stuff. But anyway, Peyote has a question and a very disturbing avatar as well. Peyote wants to know, Waddle for Adams. Who would you rather have rest of season? Hulk, I'll ask you first. Waddle or Adams? Who's the number one G?
It's easy Waddle. I mean, Derek Carr can't seem to play quarterback efficiently these days. So give me Waddle.
Tough indeed. Certainly a tough week to ask this question. Waddle being so good, Adams being so bad, but it is only 1 week. So do we want to overreact here, Bob Harris, or do you want Jalen Waddle rest of season over Devontae Adams as well?
I'm probably going to stick with Devontae Adams over the course of the season. I'd like the guy getting all the work and suppose the guy getting half the work, even though half of a lot is sometimes more than all of a not as much. It's math.
That was very deep. That was deep.
Math.
We went down to the well on that one. I'm not even sure what it meant, but I like it. It was very good. Now, Bob Harris is someone you should always be listening to in the Football Diehards program. It's on the Sirius XM radio airwaves. You could check him out there. Also, Football Diehards, great spot. And you could follow him at Football Diehard, clever name indeed. Bob Harris, with Buy-Mageddon coming, do you have any big plans going on? Or you're just gonna hang out through Buy-Mageddon, or are you going to travel somewhere for the Buy-Mageddon? Where are you going?
I believe I will stay in place during the Buy-Mageddon. It's dangerous. It's fraught with peril. Did I mention that too? So, yes, I'm going to sit here and work on my lineups endlessly and try to survive. Buy-Mageddon.
Very well. Very well. All right, Derek Brown, lastly for you, any parting shots for the waiver wire? Anybody you think is really going to pop off? Have a good week you feel good about?
I think we've named everybody Dr. Evil. There's nothing else evil to discuss here.
Well, there's only one thing left to do, and I like to end every show with a dance break. So let's go. Oh. All right, so there you go. There's your dance interlude. That is over. So is the program. Don't forget, Sleeper is the place you should be playing all your fantasy football. Also, don't forget about the many things we have at fantasypros.com/myplaybook, all the tools like the waiver wire assistant. And of course, fantasypros.com/offers, where you can go ahead and get 6 free months. It's quite breathtaking what you can get, okay, for free. We're just giving it away. So go check out fantasypros.com/offers. Go check out my playbook. Download that bad boy. Sync your teams. Do like the cool kids do on the TikToks, okay? And you go check it out there. Next thing you know, you're winning your league. It's just as simple as that. So that will do it for us. We hope everyone has a very happy Halloween out there and a happy waiver wire for week 9. So for Robert Harris and Derek Brown, I'm Dr. Evil. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. We'll see you next time, kids. Bye.